the Building, Zoning, Economic Development meeting on Wednesday, August 23rd at 4:01. Clerk, could we have a roll call, please?
Chairwoman Patty Smith.
Here?
Vice Chair Schwedebabe.
Here.
Alderman Carl Franco.
Here.
Alderman Mike Seville.
Here.
Alderman Bill Donnell.
Here.
5 present.
Thank you. The first item on order is 23-0646, the approval of the minutes from the Building, Zoning, and Economic Development Committee meeting held on August 10th, 2023.
So moved. Second.
We got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries through voice vote. Motioned by Alderman Franco, second by Alderman Donnell. Do we have any public comment?
No, we do not.
Okay, first item on the agenda, will we do both of these together?
Yes, please.
Okay, I'll read them both together and we'll go through them one at a time. Okay, item 23-0636, an ordinance establishing a conditional use plan development approving 110 Cross Street plan description and amending Chapter 49 of the Code of Ordinances, City of Aurora, by modifying the zoning map attached hereto to an underlying zoning of DF Downtown Fringe District to the property located at 110 Cross Street and 113 South River Street. 213 South River Street. Second item is 23-0637, a resolution approving a final plan of property located in 110 Cross Street for a restaurant/food beverage service, 2,500 use, and multifamily dwelling, 1140 use. We have a presentation?
Yes, I'll go through a quick presentation. So the subject property, the corner of Cross Street and River Street, is currently vacant, or at least one building is vacant. There are 2 buildings on the site. It's zone M1 manufacturing. So we are proposing to rezone it to downtown fringe with a conditional use plan development. The request would allow the a proposal brewery to come in on the first floor with apartments above. So the plan description allows approximately 46-seat brewery with 56 seats and outdoor and 15 apartments above the first story. The site will, there's also a final plan, the second item that was rated to the agenda. This final plan, and that's what I'm projecting to you now. The site will be improved with a fenced outdoor patio area on the east elevation, a new exterior staircase on the east elevation, new seated area along Cross Street, and a ramp in the rear for accessibility. The site will be accessed from a curb cut on Cross Street and River Street, and will include 13 parking spaces. The second building on the site, 213 South River, will remain its current use and configuration, and is currently used as a coffee roasting business, so that use will remain, and that's allowed per the plan description. I'm also just going to show you some elevations, kind of to see the proposed elevation. The building is a contributing resource to the Middle Avenue National Register Historic District. And the developers are pursuing using historic preservation tax credits. So the main facade has to remain mostly unchanged, but even the changes to the elevation has to retain the historic character of the industrial building. So all the exterior and interior changes had to be approved by the State Historic Preservation Office. The rezoning is consistent with our efforts to expand the downtown fringe zoning south of the current boundaries to include many of the Middle Avenue Historic District sites when those areas come in for redevelopment. So consistent with what we have been doing. There is one, the Planning Commission, we added a condition about removing the billboard once the current lease expires, and the petitioners are aware of that. They've agreed to that, so that should not be an issue. The petitioners are here, so if there's any questions for staff, if you would like them to come up, I'm sure they'd be happy to.
Alderwoman Bade.
Thank you, Chairwoman. Jill, thank you for going over the details about this project. I wanted to know more about the parking. So 102 seating and with 15 apartments, we have 13 spaces for parking?
Yes. So, and the petitioners can also elaborate on this. So there are 13 spaces. This is a redevelopment site. There was not a lot of room for parking. There is parking on Cross Street available, and then the city actually on Middle Avenue recently did some restriping. So there's some nice striped parking on that. And this is also adjacent to the city lot, which is up here, that large lot adjacent to the library, for the public parking especially for the brewery.
So these 13 spaces will be for the residents or for the customers for the restaurant?
Both. There's 5 spaces for the residential and 5 spaces donated for the brewery. And I have if you want to come up, Eric, and add anything to that?
Eric Cervantes, JH Real Estate Partners. So the spaces that, as they exist, like Jill explained, the site is so limited for how much redevelopment we can do in there. An initial plan, it showed more spaces. However, it did not allow for cars to pass by each other in the correct manner. So what we've come up with, as you can see here on the plan, and we plan to reserve spaces for the tenant's use and reserve spaces also for the brewery use. And then the other spaces will be like a first come, first served that are in the parking lot. So we'll have signage to reserve those spaces properly.
And what about parking for residents who live there every day? Like, is there a way they're assured that there will be parking for each apartment, or they just have to find on the street, just like Chicago?
Right now, we're relying on the adjacent street parking for the remaining residents and visitors, just simply because there's not enough room to have that many dedicated spots per residential unit.
Okay.
Question?
Alderman Franco?
So this is probably for staff. Typically, we have formulas for different types of businesses and apartments like that. What would be our formula here? Because I'm still concerned about that parking, because you said, well, we got street parking. I don't know that that's really answering our question. I mean, I just think that, I guess I would like to know, when we talk about street parking, about how much is there? When we talk about the city lot, about how much is there and how that would factor in mathematically to close, basically, to a formula for us.
So typically for apartment uses, we do two parking spaces per unit. Though we have this, we're seeing this as an extension of the downtown, since there is available, like we did for Hobbs Terminal. There is not necessarily parking available right on site. We've used adjacent parking spots to kind of allow that additional parking. Plus, we're seeing these uses as not as intense driving, with them being, smaller units and adjacent to downtown. You have the walkability, you have be able to get to the transit and stuff. So that's why we have, like similar the redevelopments in downtown allow the variance in the parking. I don't know if there any effort to be, does the library allow any type of parking agreement?
So the city of Aurora actually owns the big parking lot, and the library doesn't own it. I believe you can buy overnight parking on the south end of that. I don't know if anyone knows that that's not true. I believe that is true. So that would be an option for the residential here. They could buy overnight parking in that large lot. There's a lot of extra spaces there currently. So, and this parking lot is being redeveloped. Right now it doesn't function very well, so we work with the developer to get a better flow here. And actually, I think there's a couple more spaces than what is there now currently.
So I would ask, and I know it's hard to figure out mathematically as you're talking about different places, but in your opinion,
Yeah.
if we had a mathematical formula and we were kind of using that, they would kind of fit inside of that formula, that would be enough? Because you usually kind of go by that anyway.
Correct. Like usually with like the brewery, it would usually be one space for every 3 seats. That's
Right.
how we do that with liquor. And then like Jill said, the apartments, the standard is 2, although sometimes in the downtown we do less than that. And again, we're envisioning this site just south of Cross Street. down to Gale. We kind of call this the warehouse district. You know, there's some warehouses here. We have a banquet facility at the south end there, Company 251, so we're looking at redevelopment there. So we'd be looking at this as kind of an extension of the downtown. We have a combination of some on-site, some street parking. Middle Avenue doesn't have a lot of car use right now, and then the large city lot too is a combination for the parking demand.
So in essence, you feel that if
Yes.
if this would encompass all that, we should be good?
Correct,
Okay,
yes.
yeah, that's kind of what I was
Yeah.
trying to get at. Okay, thank you.
Yes, go ahead.
So you anticipate there be enough parking not only for this business and residences, but including the banquet facility as well, and the area will sustain
No, not
the
banquet facility.
both?
They don't have parking.
Yes.
Have we did an
Correct.
inventory as to how many parking spaces are in the area that they might potentially need?
I don't know, have you guys looked at that parking
I missed
demand?
the last part of the question.
Well,
Well, I mentioned your facility and your business plan, and then the banquet facility. Has anybody done a parking study with regard to what will be needed during peak times, and if the area will sustain the parking requirements that you hope to have to have for your clientele that will be not only living there, but
Well, there
Company
is a
business.
large excess of parking in the downtown currently, so we feel that this additional use will, especially in this area, the southwest part of downtown, there is a lot of excess parking currently in that city lot that's by the library, which, in fact, it's not even all built out. Part of that is grass, because if there was a future demand, that could be expanded on the city property.
but that's
Down
at
to
the
Cross
city's
Street.
expense, though.
Potentially, yes, yes.
And do you, sir?
Yeah.
Do you feel comfortable with the infrastructure that's currently in the area?
Currently, we do. And it's based on, observations as well as the usage, we've not seen an overload of parking, even during construction and other events. So we feel confident.
And what do you emphasize, or what do you think is the capacity you'll need for your business?
Capacity for the business, I'm not 100% sure to that, as we are the owner of the building and we were leasing out the first floor space to the tenant, so I don't know exactly what their projections are for occupancy at the time.
And will they be serving anything else besides beer?
It will be a brewery, and they will also have a kitchen and a bar
Do you know
available.
what type of food they'll be providing?
I do not know at this time. I know they were talking with some different groups to come in and use the
The
kitchen.
staff know what kind of restaurant is going to be there?
No, we do not.
No, the city clerk has, I believe they've already been issued a liquor license. So they provided a menu to the city and to the city clerk and to the liquor commissioner, correct?
Yes, I can speak to that, Alex Voigt with the mayor's office. So for their liquor license, they are not required to have on-site food service. What they were previously planning to do was they were going to work with one of our local restaurants to have select menu items or perhaps use mobile food units. So they do have a plan for food, which they are required, but they're not required to have a set menu for on-site service. And regarding the parking, I do also, the Mayor's Office of Economic Development just went through the process to select a vendor for a downtown parking study. So we are undergoing that process as well. That'll be kicking off very soon.
Okay, thank you.
Alderman Donnell.
Thank you. I recall when Society 57 came in, they had 0 parking because they're part of the downtown fringe, I believe. And that's what we're doing with this property, bringing them into the downtown fringe?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, Alderman, exactly that. So we envision this as part of the downtown. It's built like the downtown. There's not a lot of surface parking. When we did Company 251, we were able to get 20 or 24 parking spaces on site, which doesn't fulfill the whole demand, but with the excess street parking and then overflow on the city lot, we feel that it would meet the demand.
And I think it'd be helpful if between now and COW, you got a number. That is a large lot by the library.
Find out how
You could-
much is there.
You get us a number,
Sure.
I think that would help.
Sure.
Dissuade the concerns. So that's all I have for parking. I was by there today, and the cross street frontage, it's paved, a lot of paved. It shows seating there, and,
So that'll all be removed.
yeah.
so
Maybe- I don't know if the plan needs to say removed, but
Well,
hopefully.
it's showing all grass, so we did negotiate that with JH.
Right.
So that'll be an improvement for the parkway, because right now I think they kind of pull up in there, but they'll still be able to park on the street at the curb line.
Right. And I think you probably know what my next question is. How about some trees in there? I know there's overhead wires, but we could put,
So the
Other trees?
issue was the telephone poles, right?
Yes. So there is the guy poles
And the-
here.
The guy wires too are there. In fact, we were just able to, so that's a moved curb cut there on Cross, and it just misses, I think, the guy wire that is for those poles. If Alderman Donnell feels that there's a species or something that maybe could fit there after taking a look at
well,
it.
we just looked at our
Right.
street tree
I know
list.
we don't want service.
And there's a whole bunch of short trees that you might work there. I just think that building is, again, it's industrial, but it's pretty stark. And I think a couple of trees separating that from the road might be nice.
So there is landscaping currently here that will be expanded, and then we had them put in some planter boxes here to provide some buffering, parking, and outdoors
Do
seating.
you want to condition that if possible, if we can get some ornamental trees in the parkway on Cross, that you would like to see
I think we
that?
call them understory, but whatever.
The understory,
Whatever's, and the wires are really high. They're,
Okay,
I'm sure that we don't want to get into those wires. They're probably high voltage, but,
okay. So if the property owner would agree to that? On Cross Street in the parkway, to add a couple of understory trees there in the parkway, which is typically what we do. So, okay, we could work with them on that.
I appreciate it.
Are you finished?
Just one other question. So the lot where it says existing concrete and existing asphalt, is that going to be repaved or going to be able to patch that back together? It's, there's a lot of work being done over now, a lot of gravel.
So, based on what you're seeing here right now, there's a lot of gravel and rubble simply from demolition projects that have been going on. We are currently in the process on the south side of the building of regrading and providing a new ramp, delivery ramp. And all that new work is extending along the south side where we have the RTU for the units and the brew chiller for the brew house. That will receive all new concrete pad. And as you go around the patio, that will be a brand new patio that will be poured there. So probably, Alderman, when you're driving by, what you're seeing is we have some areas staked out and prepared for the new work, but obviously we're not going to be able to do that yet till we get the equipment out of there and the storage out of there as well. But the entire parking lot will be repaired.
Well, and I'm sure it'll look nice, but I just want to ask the question because it is kind of half asphalt, half concrete now.
Right.
And
Yes.
hopefully we can make that all look good when you're done.
Right. We do have a plan in place to, like you say, make that look nice and worked diligently with the engineer to design the new curb cuts and everything to make everything look up to par.
All right, thank you.
Oh, I do have a couple questions as well. Do we know what the lease end is for that beautiful billboard?
We do, yes. I don't
I believe it's 2025.
Yes.
Okay, so we have to keep it till 2025.
2 years.
2 years, yes.
25.
And then what are we looking like?
Wait, you said,
20.
what date?
2025.
So that's
2 years, yeah, okay. And what are we looking for a timeline on this project? Have we got that?
For completion?
Yeah.
Or so the brewery portion is currently underway on its own construction permit. And I believe they are looking at I think they maybe have about 2 months more of construction there, and also getting in deliveries for their equipment and specialty equipment. And then we are looking to have the upper portion complete by first quarter of next year.
And
Available to
And I'm
them.
going to add to the parking piece, because we all are always concerned about parking, because as we sit up here, parking comes back and bites us if there's not enough of it. More concerned for the residents than the people participating in the brewery. So I think that's something that we really have to make sure we have is, an adequate amount for the residents that are living there. As far as the brewery itself goes, I think this is just an amazing addition to the city of Aurora. We've all talked up here today. These are all around us everywhere. People are going to these things in large numbers. They're not fancy. They don't need to be fancy. They're paved. They're breweries. They're a lot of fun. It's another amenity to bring people to downtown Aurora. So I'm very happy to see this. But we do sit up here and always worry about parking. So I think it's
Understood.
something that we need to keep looking at. And again, mostly for the residents, the people participating in the brewery, they can park in the grass and they can walk or figure something else out. So, but that's all I have.
I have one more question. It's big picture. So there are already constructions underway for some of these things. What if we voted no on all this? What would happen? I mean, when I hear stuff like that, I'm like, are we ahead of ourselves? Because if we don't approve this and they start the construction, where does that all go? How does that work into the big scheme of things?
They've just started construction for the brewery.
Okay.
And that's permitted as part of the manufacturing. We're allowing it in the plan description where we're rezoning it to downtown fringe. And then any interior work is kind of at the applicant's own discretion, and that is the case. And that we always tell them if they ever proceed with interior demo or anything, that's at their discretion.
So your question was, are they jumping the gun on the zoning by working on the brewery?
Yes.
The answer is no.
Okay.
Because it's already zoned M1 now, which allows the brewery and the ground floor. Doesn't allow the residential, but they're not doing the residential
Okay.
as we speak. So they're working on the brewery. So with the rezoning to the downtown fringe for the whole site, including both buildings, we're adding in the brewery as a permitted use in the downtown fringe.
Okay.
So it's kind of a semantics with the brewery portion.
Yeah, I was reading that, I'm like, wait a second, we started in this, but they're requesting now, and I'm like, wow, that's pretty good that you guys kind of had that foresight to know that we might approve this. But that's not kind of.
That part was okay.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
You've been out in the sun too long.
Probably.
Alderwoman Bade.
I have a question for the petitioner. So you have to retain the historic character of the industrial building.
Correct.
Are there any challenges, any difficulties, or anything that you didn't foresee that you're seeing now?
That's we have had a few challenges, but nothing that we haven't been able to handle. It's always interesting when you're working on a building that was built in 1919 to find different construction methods, things that wouldn't currently be acceptable, maybe by today's standards, but with the help of the architect and the engineers, we've been making everything back to where it needs to be with an eye towards state historic and making sure that all that's done. And I just wanted to add to Alderman, the other work that is going on is all site improvements that will take place for the benefit of the brewery and the building, regardless of the status of the upper floors. So tuck pointing, brick repairs, the new lot, all that sort of thing. So.
And just one more thing.
Sure.
So are you matching the aesthetics to the historic area, or they're going to be?
Yes, so State Historic has already approved our plans and for interior and exterior. And the goal is to basically leave nearly everything you see now exposed that we possibly can. So the interior has conical shaped columns, has exposed brick, the same brick that's on the outside is a similar brick on the inside. And so as well as the concrete floors and the concrete ceilings. So we're planning on repairing those surfaces, but retaining them. Along with several large fire doors that were in use during the time of a storage facility. So we plan to take those doors and reincorporate them into the corridors to make it appear as though they were still there, they're still in use. Sort of similar, if anybody's familiar with what we did at the Hobbs building, where the State Historic Office basically said, if there's an opening, you have to keep it. Well, we wanted to make corridors, we wanted to make new units, so we installed those openings, those doors flush to the wall, so that they appear to be openings, but they're just false doors. Okay. So we have a similar plan for the apartments at 110.
Thank you.
Alderman Denali, you want more
Yes.
questions?
I just have, this is in my ward, and I am so happy that you're going to have a kitchen or a restaurant of sorts in here. One of your competitors very close that also sells beer, I think maybe underestimated the need for food and the preparation for food. And so I think you're going to be, as Chairman Patty said, I think you're going to be wildly successful, but I think you need to make sure you have that ability to feed people as well, because that's been our experience across the street.
And as part of that plan, there is a kitchen that is being built into the space. So whether we partner or whether a new group wants to come in and use that kitchen, they want to partner with them to run the food part of it, the kitchen will be built out with an exhaust hood, with ranges, storage, all to health code to meet that demand.
And I have one final, just a curiosity. You know what the building original was built for?
Yes, it was built as a fireproof warehouse storage, Valentine's fireproof warehouse storage. And that's what it was for most of its life. Allied Van Lines, I believe, partnered with them or used some of the space at one point. There was some ghost writing available that said that on the east side, but it's faded pretty badly. But then since that point, it's been very limited use.
Thank you.
Alderman Seville.
And just to clarify, when do you anticipate final build-out again?
Sometime in the first quarter of next year for the residential.
For the residential?
Yes.
And then again, the brewery final build-out?
Brewery, I think they're anticipating about 2.5 months based on inspections,
Wow.
based on being able to get equipment shipped in. There's a lot of specialized equipment that they need, so.
And can you share with us what the price point is going to be for your residential units to rent?
For the rent portion, per month. So I was actually looking at that just as I came over because I thought somebody would ask, but we do not have that cemented yet, but it would definitely be competitive with market rate for similar one-bedroom apartments with on-site. Each unit will have its own washer dryer and all the amenities that it needs. So, and all the units will be one bedroom in the apartments.
Can you share with us those estimations?
I think it was, the market rate that I was seeing was around $1,200 to $1,400 per month for a one-bedroom, comparable one-bedroom.
Okay, good. Well, wish you luck. Wish
Thank
well.
you. Thank you.
Any other questions?
So move for approval.
All right, I'm going to go, I'll read 230636. I have a motion by Alderman Seville, second by Alderman Franco. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries per voice vote. Did you want to add the, okay. Item number 230673. I have a motion on that one.
So moved.
Second.
Motioned by Alderman Seville, second by Alderman Franco. All in favor?
Just for the record, it was 637, not 7.
Okay. Yes, ma'am.
Who's been out in the sun too long?
230637. Is that not what I said? My eyes work faster than my brain.
What you said now, yes.
All right, so it's been motioned, approved, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Anything further to come before the BZNE?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn. All in favor? Second.
Second.
Yes, we're going home.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right.
All right.